Dad said proudly, "We used your fund for your sister. She needs the spotlight," as if I should applaud. I didn't. I glanced at my fiancé and he whispered, "Their 72 hours start now." Okay, buckle up, because I have a story for you. Imagine sitting down to what you think is a perfectly normal Thanksgiving dinner, the clinking of silver against your mother's fancy china a familiar, almost comforting sound. But then, in a heartbeat, that comfort is ripped away, and your own parents casually announce they've just stolen your entire life savings, right out from under your nose. That's exactly what happened to me, and what came next. Well, let's just say it was a masterclass in betrayal, and then, a truly epic comeuppance. So, there I was, caught between Beckett and my sister, Sutton, at the ridiculously long mahogany table. My fork was just pushing roasted Brussels sprouts around on my plate, trying to look busy, while Aunt Margaret droned on about her latest cruise to the Bahamas. Beckett, my boyfriend, was beside me. You could still see faint traces of drywall dust on his flannel shirt, and his work boots were scuffed beneath the table. He caught me looking, and gave me that small, private smile, the one that says he'd rather be literally anywhere else. And honestly, same. Then, Mom's manicured hands slammed flat against the table. The room just went silent. Even Aunt Margaret stopped mid-sentence about snorkeling with stingrays. "Before we have dessert," Mom chirped, her voice bright and practiced, "Nicholas and I have an announcement about Sutton's wedding." My fork paused halfway to my mouth, suspended in air. Sutton, of course, instantly sat up straighter, her perfect, Instagram-ready smile already in place. "You know how much we adore both our daughters," Mom continued, and I swear my stomach just tightened. Nothing good ever follows that phrase, you know? And we believe in supporting family dreams. My dad, Nicholas, cleared his throat, adjusting his tie. "Delilah and I," he announced, puffed up with pride, "have secured the February 20th opening at the Alta Aspen Resort for Sutton and Tripp's wedding." Sutton squealed. Actual, honest-to-God squealing. And Tripp, her fiancé, he pumped his fist like he'd just won the lottery. I slowly, carefully set down my fork. The Alta Aspen Resort. I knew that place. That venue costs more than I make in an entire year. A celebrity couple canceled last minute, Mom beamed, clearly thrilled with herself. It's a once-in-a-lifetime influencer opportunity. The exposure alone is worth. How are you paying for it? The question came out of my mouth, sharper than I meant it to be. Mom's smile didn't even falter. "Well, that's the thing, sweetheart. We accessed your trust fund. $48,000. It covered the deposit and most of the..." The rest of her words just turned into a high-pitched ringing, a distant, muffled white noise. My trust fund. The one my grandmother left me. The one that was supposed to finally be completely mine in 3 weeks, when I turned 30. "You what?" My voice sounded hollow, like it belonged to someone else entirely. "Now, Isla, don't make that face." My dad's tone carried a warning, low and dangerous. "Your mother and I are still the trustees until your birthday. We have every legal right to." Then, out of nowhere, Beckett's voice cut through the room like a blade through ice. He hadn't raised it. He didn't need to. "Did you just admit to felony embezzlement in front of witnesses?" Every single head at that table snapped toward him. My dad's face instantly flushed a deep, angry red. He looked at Beckett's dusty shirt, his calloused hands, those scuffed boots beneath the table. And then he laughed. Actually laughed. "Felony? Listen, son. I know you're used to bricklaying money, but in the real world, parents manage their children's assets all the time. Maybe if you made more than minimum wage, Isla wouldn't need family support." "Dad." The words scraped out of my throat, raw and painful. Beckett set his water glass down with deliberate, slow care. "You have 72 hours to return the principal plus interest. If you don't, Sutton's wedding becomes a funeral for this family's reputation." Tripp, from across the table, snorted. He already had his phone out, filming this entire disaster. "Bro, what are you gonna do? Sue them? With what lawyer? I tried Googling you, man. Beckett Sterling? Nothing. No LinkedIn, no Facebook. You're a ghost. In 2024, if you're not online, you're nobody. Public defender gonna squeeze you in between his drug cases. I grabbed Beckett's arm before he could respond. His muscles were rigid beneath my fingers. Kitchen. Now. He followed me, and I didn't miss the smug, triumphant look my dad exchanged with Tripp as we walked away. The kitchen still smelled like turkey and sage, a sickening reminder of what this day was supposed to be. I leaned against the counter, my hands shaking so hard I had to clench them. Beckett just stood near the doorway, watching me with those calm, gray eyes that never seemed to be ruffled by anything. They stole from me. The words came out hollow, barely a whisper. My grandmother left me that money so I could buy a house, start a life, and they just... I know. I'm 29 years and 11 months old, Beckett. 11 months. In 3 weeks that money would have been completely mine, and they knew it. They timed this. He crossed to me in 2 long strides and pulled me against his chest. I could smell sawdust and soap in him. For a moment, I let myself break. Just a little. When I was 16, they made me pay my own college tuition while Sutton got a brand new Lexus, I whispered into his shirt. When I was 22, I bailed her out of $3,000 in credit card debt because Mom said she was fragile, that she needed support. I'm always the fixer, the responsible one. The strong one who doesn't need help. Beckett pulled back just enough to look at me. You're also the one they underestimate. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Which is going to be their biggest mistake. Before I could even ask what he meant, Mom appeared in the doorway, her presence sharp and unwelcome. Isla, honey, come back to the table. You're embarrassing yourself. I straightened, trying to compose myself to face her. She was wearing that patient smile, the one that says she's the adult and I'm just a child throwing a tantrum. Embarrassing myself? Something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Like ice before it shatters. You stole $48,000 from me. We borrowed it, sweetheart. For family. Sutton is fragile. She needs the spotlight to thrive. You're a survivor. You'll make more money. This is about supporting your sister when she dashed no. The word burst out of me. This isn't about survival. This isn't about support. This is theft. Her face hardened, and that patient smile vanished. Don't you dare speak to me that way. After everything we've done for you. Name one thing. The kitchen fell silent. I could faintly hear voices from the dining room, Aunt Margaret asking if everything was all right. Mom's jaw tightened. You have until dessert to apologize and come back to this table like a grateful daughter. Otherwise, you can leave. She turned and walked. Away, her heels clicking a rhythmic, final beat against the hardwood floor. Beckett touched my shoulder. We should go. Wait. I grabbed my purse from the counter, pulling out my phone. My hands, surprisingly, were steady now. If they want to play this game, they're going to regret it. Back in the dining room, everyone stared as we gathered our coats. Sutton had tears in her eyes, those performative tears that look so good on camera. Dad wouldn't even look at me. Tripp was still filming, a smug smirk plastered across his face. I stopped at the doorway and looked back at my family. My whole life, I'd been invisible to them unless they needed something fixed. Not anymore. 72 hours, I said quietly, my voice surprisingly calm. Enjoy your turkey. The door closed behind us with a soft click that sounded, to me, like a gunshot. Monday morning, I called the trust administrator before my shift. My hands were shaking as I dialed, my coffee going cold on the kitchen counter. Beckett had left an hour ago for a job site, kissing my forehead and telling me to breathe. But I couldn't breathe. Not until I knew how bad this actually was. Miss Cook, let me pull up your account. The administrator's voice was professionally neutral, the kind that gives absolutely nothing away. I heard typing. Then silence. Then more typing. Is there a problem? I managed to ask. I'm seeing some unusual activity. Can you hold, please? The hold music was classical, something with violins that made my teeth ache. I paced my small living room, past the second-hand couch Beckett reupholstered last spring, past the bookshelf we found at an estate sale. Everything here we built ourselves. Nothing handed to us. Miss Cook. A different voice now, older, careful. This is Gerald Hutchins, senior trustee. I need to ask you a question. Did you sign a verbal consent memo 2 months ago authorizing a $48,000 transfer to Sutton Marie Cook? My stomach dropped. No. I was afraid of that. Papers rustled. The documentation is dated September 15th. It claims you verbally agreed to gift the funds to your sister for wedding expenses and that you'd formalize it in writing before your 30th birthday. I never said that. I didn't even know about Sutton's engagement until October. More rustling. Miss Cook, I'm looking at the transfer log right now. This wasn't impulsive. Someone accessed the account 3 separate times over 6 weeks, moving funds in increments to avoid triggering our large withdrawal alerts. They knew exactly what they were doing. I sank onto the couch. Premeditated. Not a desperate grab in a moment of weakness. They planned this. Can you email me everything? Every document, every transfer record, every piece of paper with my name on it. I'll send it within the hour. Miss Cook, I have to tell you, this doesn't look good. If that consent memo is forged, we're talking about fraud. Criminal fraud. I ended the call and just stared at my phone. The screen showed 7:53 a.m. In 7 minutes, I was supposed to clock in at the warehouse, manage shipments, fix other people's logistics problems. But I couldn't move. My parents didn't just steal from me. They framed it as my choice. The email arrived at 8:47 a.m. I was late for work, but I didn't care. I downloaded every attachment in a bathroom stall, my hands trembling so hard I nearly dropped my phone twice. The verbal consent memo was typed on official letterhead. It described a conversation that never happened, quoted words I never said. At the bottom, in neat typescript, verbal consent recorded by Delilah Cook, co-trustee, the 15th of September, 2024. I photographed every page. Twice. Then I backed them up to 3 different cloud accounts. My phone buzzed. Email from Dad. Subject, reality check. The message read, Isla, your mother is very upset by your behavior on Thanksgiving. Ungrateful daughters who sue their parents don't appear in wills. We've given you everything. And this is how you repay us? Choose wisely. Your inheritance depends on it. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then I forwarded it to my personal email with the subject line, evidence. Tuesday morning, my boss, Karen, pulled me into her office. Karen's in her 50s, fair, the kind of manager who actually remembers your birthday. Right now, she looked profoundly uncomfortable. Isla, I got a strange call yesterday. My chest tightened immediately. From who? A man named Trip Johnson. Said he's your future brother-in-law. He was very concerned about you. She paused, choosing her words carefully. He said you're going through a mental health crisis. That you're harassing his fiancée and making threats. That your family is worried you might be unstable. The floor tilted beneath me. That's not true. I didn't think it was, Karen said, her expression softening. But Isla, he knew details. Your position here. Your schedule. Even that you've been taking longer breaks lately. Are you okay? Is something going on? My parents stole $48,000 from my trust fund. I heard myself say, the words sounding detached. I'm hiring a lawyer. Tripp is trying to discredit me before I can fight back. Karen exhaled slowly. Jesus. Okay. For the record, your job is safe. But if he calls again, I need to document it. HR requires it. Document everything, I said, a new resolve hardening my voice. I am. That night, alone in my apartment, I made a decision. Not the kind where you weigh pros and cons. The kind that arrives fully formed, inevitable, like recognizing you're already falling. I opened my laptop and pulled up my savings account. My house fund, $8,216. Every extra shift. Every skipped dinner out. Every birthday where I asked for cash instead of gifts. This was supposed to be my future. My foundation. I transferred $8,000 to my checking account. Then I Googled forensic accountants and lawyers who handled trust fund fraud. Martin Webb's website was plain, professional, 30 years exposing financial deception. I sent him the trust documents at 11:34 p.m. Riley Donovan's site showed a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and sharp eyes, family law attorney specializing in elder abuse and trust disputes. I emailed her at 11:41 p.m. By Wednesday morning, both had responded. Martin's retainer was $4,000. Riley's was $4,000. I wired the money before I could reconsider. This wasn't saving for a future anymore. This was paying for survival now. Wednesday afternoon, Riley called. I've reviewed the documents Mr. Webb forwarded. The forged consent memo is sloppy work. Wrong notary stamp. Signature dates that don't match the claimed conversation date. We can prove fraud. How long will it take? I'm sending a formal demand letter today. Certified mail. Signature required. They'll have it by Thursday morning. After that, we wait to see if they're smart enough to settle or stupid enough to fight. Thursday, 10:15 a.m. My phone rang. Dad. I let it go to voicemail. How dare you? How dare you send lawyers after your own parents? You want to destroy this family over money? We'll destroy you first. Everyone will know what kind of daughter you really are. I saved the voicemail. Evidence. Thursday, 6:47 p.m. The family group chat exploded. Tripp had posted a photo. Beckett's rusted 1998 Ford F-150 parked next to Tripp's leased BMW M5. The caption read, "Maybe if your boyfriend worked harder, you wouldn't need to sue your own parents." 37 family members saw it. Aunt Margaret commented, "So sad when jealousy ruins families." Cousin Jennifer added a crying emoji. I just stared at that photo, at Beckett's truck with its dented fender and faded paint. Tripp thought he was humiliating us. He had no idea what he was looking at. I screenshotted the post. Then I screenshotted every single comment. I didn't delete the app. I didn't respond. I just added it to the folder labeled evidence and waited. Saturday morning, I woke up to my phone vibrating like it was having a seizure. 37 notifications. 42:56. I grabbed it from the nightstand, squinting at the screen. Text messages, voicemails, Instagram tags, Facebook comments. The barrage made my stomach clench before I even read the first one. Sutton posted something. Of course she did. I tapped the Instagram notification with shaking fingers. There she was, my baby sister, filmed in perfect morning light streaming through gauzy curtains. Her eyes were red-rimmed and glassy. Her voice broke on every third word. I don't usually get this personal, she sniffled into the camera, dabbing at her nose with a tissue, but I need to be real with you guys right now. A shaky breath. There's someone in my family who's trying to sabotage my wedding. Someone who's supposed to love me. Her chin trembled. I won't say who because I'm not that person, but they're suing my parents over money, over my dream day, and I can't believe someone could be that jealous, that spiteful. The video had 12,000 views already. The comments were a firing squad. Your strength is inspiring. Families should support each other, not tear each other down. Whoever it is doesn't deserve you, sis. My hands went numb. The phone started ringing. Aunt Margaret. I declined. Voicemail pinged immediately. I didn't listen. Another call. Cousin Jennifer. Decline. Another voicemail. Then the text started pouring in faster. Aunt Margaret, how could you do this to your sister? She's been planning this wedding for months. Cousin Jennifer, your parents sacrificed everything for you, and this is how you repay them? Uncle Tom, this is embarrassing for the whole family. Drop the lawsuit. I sat on the edge of my bed, still in Beckett's old T-shirt, watching my phone light up like a slot machine. Each message landed like a physical blow. These people have known me my entire life. They watched me graduate college debt-free because I worked 3 jobs. They saw me bail Sutton out of that credit card disaster. They know who I am. But none of that matters now. Sutton cried on camera. So I'm the villain. My phone rang again. Mom this time. I stared at her name on the screen, my thumb hovering over the answer button. The call went to voicemail. 10 seconds later, a text. From Mom, I hope you're happy. You've turned this family against itself. Sutton is devastated. Was the money really worth destroying your sister's happiness? Something cold settled in my chest. Not anger. Not even hurt anymore. Just a kind of hollow clarity. They're never going to stop. Even if I dropped the lawsuit right now, walked away from every penny, they'd still see me as the problem. The ungrateful daughter. The jealous sister. The one who ruins everything. Beckett found me an hour later, still sitting there, Phone in my lap like a bomb I was afraid to set down. "How bad?" he asked quietly. I handed him the phone without a word. He scrolled through the messages, his jaw tightening with each one. When he got to Sutton's video, he watched the whole thing in silence. "Get dressed," he said finally. "We're leaving." "Where?" "Away from this." I didn't argue. I pulled on jeans and a sweater. Grabbed my jacket. Beckett drove his rusted Ford F-150 north, away from the city, away from my apartment where the walls felt like they were closing in. Neither of us spoke. The silence felt safer than words right now. We drove for nearly an hour before he turned onto a gravel road I'd never seen before. The truck bounced over potholes and weeds until we reached a clearing at the end of a long driveway. Then I saw it. The house looked like something from a Gothic novel someone left out in the rain for a decade. Victorian architecture, 3 stories tall, with a wraparound porch that sagged on one side. Paint peeled in long strips from the clapboard siding. 2 windows on the second floor were cracked, spiderwebbing out from their centers. The yard was 3 acres of overgrown grass and dead bushes. It was a disaster. "What is this place?" I asked, completely bewildered. Beckett killed the engine. I bought the option on it last month. I turned to stare at him. "You what?" "Come on." He got out of the truck. I followed him through knee-high weeds to the front porch. The steps creaked under our weight, and I was half convinced we were going to fall through. But they held. Beckett produced a key from his pocket and unlocked the front door. It swung open with a horror movie groan. Inside, the house smelled like dust and old wood and something faintly floral, like dried flowers nobody ever threw away. Afternoon light streamed through dirty windows, illuminating particles floating in the air. The entryway opened into a large living room with a stone fireplace buried under layers of grime. Rotted carpet covered what looked like hardwood underneath. "It's broken," Beckett said softly, taking my hand. "Like everything feels right now." I looked at him. Really looked at him. There was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Not pity, not even sympathy. Just understanding. "But it has good bones," he continued, leading me deeper into the house. He pointed up at the ceiling. "Original crown molding. See? Under all that water damage, it's still there." He knelt and peeled back a corner of the disgusting carpet. Underneath, dark hardwood gleamed faintly. "This is probably oak. Maybe 100 years old." We moved through the house together. He showed me the dining room with its built-in china cabinet, the butler's pantry with original glass front cabinets, the kitchen that needed to be gutted entirely. Upstairs, 5 bedrooms in various states of decay. The master had a bay window overlooking the property, and through the grime I could see the potential. Back downstairs, Beckett took both my hands and turned me to face him in front of that filthy stone fireplace. "We'll build our own life here," he said, his gaze unwavering. "With or without that money, with or without them." Something inside me shifted. Not broke. Shifted. Like tectonic plates rearranging themselves deep underground. I'd spent 29 years trying to earn a place at my family's pristine Thanksgiving table. Fighting to be seen, to be valued, to be loved the way Sutton is loved. Hoping that if I just fixed enough problems, absorbed enough blame, stayed quiet and competent and useful, they'd finally see me as worth keeping. But standing in this wreck of a house, I realized I didn't want that anymore. I wanted this. This broken Victorian with good bones. This man who saw my value without needing me to prove it. This possibility of peace, even if it came with peeling paint and cracked windows. "I want this more," I whispered. Beckett pulled me close, and I breathed in sawdust and possibility. We walked the property as the sun started, sinking lower. 3 acres of dead grass and overgrown brambles, and a few trees that might bloom come spring. It was ugly right now, but it was ours. Then Beckett's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and something changed in his face. "I need to take this." He walked about 20 feet away, turning his back to me. I watched him answer, and his entire posture transformed. Straighter, sharper, more controlled. His voice carried across the dead grass, but the tone was completely different from the one I knew. "Yes, I've reviewed the acquisition timeline," he said, crisp and authoritative. Professional in a way that didn't match the flannel shirt and work boots. Board approval by Tuesday. Liquidity requirements are covered on our end. A pause. No, the merger won't affect our existing property portfolio. We're expanding, not consolidating. I froze. Property portfolio? He listened to whoever was on the other end, and I caught fragments. Due diligence completed. Finalize the purchase agreement. Wire transfer authorization. This didn't sound like a contractor talking to a client. This sounded like something else entirely. Beckett ended the call and stood there for a moment, phone still in his hand, staring out at the tree line. When he turned back to me, his expression was unreadable. Careful. Everything okay? I asked. He crossed back to me and cupped my face in his calloused hands. Trust me, he said quietly. Let them think they're winning for a few more days. I studied his face. The gray eyes that never seemed ruffled. The slight tension in his jaw. The way he chose every word with a precision I was only now noticing. What aren't you telling me? I whispered. Something that's going to change everything. He kissed my forehead. But not yet. Not until the trap is set. I should have pressed him. Demanded answers. But something in his eyes stopped me. Not deception. Strategy. So I nodded slowly, trusting what I didn't yet understand. As we walked back to his truck, my phone buzzed again, another message from the family group chat. I didn't open it. For the first time in my life, their opinions felt smaller than my own certainty. Whatever Beckett was planning, whatever he wasn't telling me, I knew one thing for sure. I was done fighting to stay in a family that never truly wanted me there in the first place. I was fighting to get out. The 72-hour deadline expired Tuesday at 5 p.m. I watched the clock on my office wall tick past the moment, and nothing happened. No phone call. No wire transfer notification. Just silence. Wednesday morning, Riley called. Her voice carried a tightness I hadn't heard before. We have a problem. I was in my car in the parking garage, eating a protein bar that tasted like cardboard. What kind of problem? Nicholas and Delilah's attorney just sent over their counter-evidence. She paused, and I braced myself. It's a screenshot from 5 years ago. A text message you sent to Sutton after what looks like a girl's night out. My stomach dropped like a stone. What does it say? What's mine is yours, sis. Riley's tone was careful. There's a heart emoji. Their lawyer is arguing this demonstrates a pattern of voluntary gifting, not embezzlement. It complicates our case significantly. The protein bar turned to dust in my mouth. I remembered that night. Sutton had just broken up with her boyfriend of 3 months and was sobbing about needing new boots to feel better. I'd bought her dinner and told her not to worry about money. That was about a pair of boots, I said, my voice thin. Not $48,000. I know, but it gives them ammunition. A jury might see it as evidence of your intent to share assets freely with your sister. She exhaled slowly. Isla, if we proceed to court now, this could drag out 18 months, maybe longer, and there's no guarantee we win. I pressed my forehead against the steering wheel. The concrete pillar in front of me was gray and cold, and that's exactly how I felt. What are my options? We can fight, build a stronger case, depose witnesses, document the pattern of financial abuse. But it'll cost you everything you have left, and the outcome is uncertain. Riley's voice softened. Or you can walk away. Cut your losses. Sometimes the win is just getting out alive. I sat there after she hung up, head against the steering wheel, looking at my reflection in the rearview mirror. The woman staring back had dark circles under her eyes and defeat written across every line of her face. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. We're willing to be reasonable. Let's talk. Thursday evening, I called her. My hand shook as I dialed, and I hated myself for it. She answered on the first ring. Isla. Her voice was warm, relieved, triumphant. I'm so glad you're being sensible about this. I can't do this anymore, I said, the words coming out small, exhausted. Beckett was across the room, watching me with those unreadable gray eyes. I'll sign whatever you want. Mom's relief flooded through the phone. Oh, sweetheart, I knew you'd come around. Family is more important than money, isn't it? Your father and I have always said, what do you need me to sign? Well, she cleared her throat, and I could hear the calculation in the pause. Sutton's pre-wedding gala is Saturday night at the Mayfield Club. 200 guests. It would mean so much to her if you came and publicly blessed this wedding, showed everyone that our family is united. My jaw clenched. You want me to sign the waiver in front of 200 people? It's not about humiliation, Isla. It's about family healing. About you being the bigger person, the way you've always been. Her voice took on that syrupy quality I'd heard my entire life. You're so strong, so capable. This is your chance to show everyone that grace and maturity. Beckett crossed to me and took my free hand. His fingers were warm and steady. Fine, I whispered. I'll be there Saturday. Oh, wonderful. I'll text you the details. And, Isla, I'm proud of you. This is the daughter I raised. She hung up before I could respond. I set the phone down and stared at it like it might bite me. Beckett sat beside me on the couch, still holding my hand. I just gave up, I said. I just let them win. He didn't answer, just squeezed my fingers once, a message I couldn't quite decode. Friday afternoon, my phone exploded with notifications. Sutton had posted an Instagram story, a close-up of her hand holding Trips, both their engagement rings catching the light. The caption read, "Sometimes love wins. Family first. After wins." The comments flooded in. So happy for you. Family is everything. Your sister must be so proud. I was still staring at it when Beckett's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and showed me. Trips text, "Your girl finally learned her place. Maybe you should too." Beckett deleted it without responding. Then he pulled up something else on his phone and showed me a confirmation email. The Alta Aspen Resort. February 20th booking. Paid in full. $48,000 of my money. Now locked into their dream wedding. They committed everything, Beckett said quietly. The venue is non-refundable. I know. My voice was hollow. They won. He looked at me with an expression I couldn't read, then went back to his phone, typing something I couldn't see. Saturday afternoon, I was in Beckett's truck as he drove us toward the Mayfield Club. I was wearing a simple black dress that felt like funeral clothes. The waiver document sat in my purse, already reviewed by Riley, already marked with sticky tabs where I needed to sign. Are we doing the right thing? The question came out smaller than I intended. Beckett adjusted his cuff, and I caught a flash of something on his wrist. My breath stopped. The watch was vintage. Elegant. Unmistakably expensive. Patek Philippe, if I was seeing it correctly. The kind of timepiece that costs more than my father's car. He caught me noticing and covered it smoothly, but not before I saw the briefest smile touch his lips. The trap only works if the animal thinks the cage is empty, he said. My pulse quickened. I looked at him. Really looked at him. The flannel shirt was gone today, replaced by a crisp white button-down and charcoal slacks. His work boots were nowhere in sight. He was wearing Italian leather shoes I'd never seen before. Beckett, my voice was barely a whisper. What did you do? Trust me. He glanced over, and his gray eyes were clear and calm and absolutely certain. Let them celebrate. Let them think they've won. Let them commit everything publicly. Lock in that Aspen booking. Maximize the height from which they're about to fall. The defeat I'd been carrying for 3 days shifted into something else. Something sharp and waiting. We pulled into the Mayfield Club parking lot. Through the windows, I could see crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, designer dresses, 200 witnesses to my supposed surrender. Beckett parked and turned to me. The trap is armed. All we need now is for them to step into it. I looked down at the waiver in my purse, then back at him. At that watch worth more than everything I owned. At the man who had been playing poor while my family played rich. Who are you? I breathed. He smiled. You'll find out in about 2 hours. Ready? I took his hand. My fingers were steady now. Let's go spring the trap. The gala was everything Sutton dreamed about. Crystal chandeliers scattered light across the ballroom like captured stars. Ice sculptures shaped like swans guarded the buffet tables, slowly melting into their silver trays. A string quartet played something classical in the corner, notes floating above the murmur of 200 guests in cocktail attire. I stood near the back wall in my simple black dress, watching Sutton work the room in designer white. She looked like a bride already, and I suppose that was the point. Every few minutes, she touched someone's arm, laughed at the right moment, posed for photos with her phone held at the perfect angle. Beckett stood beside me, silent. He was wearing a suit I'd never seen before, charcoal gray with a subtle pinstripe. No drywall dust tonight. His hand rested on the small of my back, steady and warm. "You ready?" "You ready?" he asked quietly. I nodded, though my throat felt tight. Sutton took the microphone from the DJ. The quartet stopped playing. The room settled into expectant silence. "Thank you all so much for coming tonight," Sutton said, her voice bright and practiced. She pressed one hand to her heart. "This is such a special moment for Tripp and me, and I'm so grateful to have you here to celebrate our journey to the Alta Aspen Resort." Polite applause. Someone whistled. "I especially want to thank my parents, Nicholas and Delilah Cook, for their incredible generosity." Sutton's eyes shone with what might have been real tears. She'd gotten good at this. Their generous gift made my dream wedding possible, and I can't express how blessed I feel. More applause, louder this time. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. Dad stood straighter, accepting backslaps from Uncle Tom and Aunt Margaret's husband. "And now," Sutton continued, her smile widening, "I'd like to invite my sister Isla to the stage." 200 faces turned toward me. The weight of their attention made my skin prickle. I forced my feet to move. I left my clutch on the chair. I wouldn't need it. I crossed the polished floor to where Sutton stood in her spotlight. She hugged me, whispered in my ear, "Thank you for being reasonable." I pulled back and saw Dad approaching from the side. He pulled a folded document from his inner jacket pocket, along with a gold pen. His smirk was subtle but unmistakable. He was savoring this moment, having the surrender signed in front of everyone. The room watched, waiting for my capitulation, the responsible daughter finally accepting her place. Then Beckett stepped forward. He didn't take the pen. He reached past Dad and took the microphone from Sutton's hand. His movement was smooth, confident. Not aggressive, just certain. "Sutton," he said, his voice pleasant, almost friendly. "Could you check your email?" Sutton frowned. "What?" "Beckett? This isn't your email. Check it." Something in his tone made her reach for her phone. The room had gone quiet again, but this silence felt different, uncertain. I watched Sutton's face as she unlocked her screen, watched her scroll, watched the color drain from her cheeks like water from a broken glass. "Why?" Her voice came out small. She looked up at Beckett, then at her phone again. "Why is my reservation canceled?" "I'm sorry." Mom pushed forward through the crowd, her face a mask of confusion. "What did you say?" "My reservation." Sutton's voice rose, cracking. "The Alta Aspen Resort just sent an email. Our wedding is canceled." She scrolled frantically. "They refunded the deposit. All of it." "Why would they?" "Why is my wedding canceled?" The last words came out as a scream. Guests murmured. Someone gasped. Beckett's smile didn't change. Professional. Cold. Because I ordered it canceled. "I am the CEO of Sterling Hospitality Group. We acquired the Alta Aspen Resort last week." The room went completely silent. I stared at him. "CEO. Sterling Hospitality Group." The words didn't connect to the man who showed me a broken Victorian house, who wears flannel shirts dusty with drywall, who drives a rusted 1998 Ford F-150. Dad found his voice first, sputtering. "That's impossible. You're a laborer." "You don't," Beckett signaled toward the back of the room. A screen behind the DJ booth illuminated, flooding the wall with blue light. Documents appeared. Transfer agreements. Corporate acquisition papers. And there, enlarged so everyone could read it, the forged trust memo. With Mom's signature. While a text message might delay civil proceedings, Beckett said, his voice carrying to every corner of the ballroom, the documented intent to conceal this transfer makes it criminal fraud under our corporate anti-corruption bylaws. He paused. Let the words settle. 200 witnesses, hearing every syllable. Sutton Cook and Tripp Johnson are now blacklisted from every Sterling property globally. That's 137 luxury venues across North America. His voice never rose, never hardened. Just stated facts. There will be no wedding at Aspen. There will be no wedding at any comparable venue in this region. You can't, Dad lunged forward. 2 security personnel appeared instantly, blocking his path. I didn't even see them enter. They were professionals, hands raised in calm warning. But their presence was absolute. The ballroom doors opened. 3 attorneys in matching navy suits walked in carrying briefcases. They moved like a choreographed unit, flanking Beckett. The lead attorney stepped forward. She was older, gray hair pulled back severely. Mr. and Mrs. Cook. I'm Riley Donovan, lead counsel for Sterling Hospitality Group. We have prepared a criminal filing for fraud regarding the forged documents to be submitted Monday morning. However, Mr. Sterling is willing to treat this as a civil misunderstanding if full restitution is initiated immediately. Total $60,000. Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. Nicholas, do something. Dad's face had gone purple. This is insane. You can't just sue parents. We have rights. You had trustee authority, Riley said calmly. You abused it. The documentation on the screen proves intent to defraud. Your choice is simple. Pay now or explain your actions to a prosecutor. I watched Dad's hands shake as he pulled out his phone. He tried to look defiant, but his fingers fumbled on the screen. Mom hovered beside him, whispering frantically. The guests stood frozen. Nobody left. This was better than any reality show. Tripp appeared at the edge of my vision, moving toward the exit. Nobody stopped him. By the time Sutton noticed, he was already gone, the door closing softly behind him. She collapsed into the nearest chair, mascara streaming down her face in black rivers. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications, probably Instagram followers wondering where the wedding content went. Dad accessed his mobile banking app. His face was gray now, the purple rage drained away into sick resignation. I saw him navigating through screens, watched his jaw clench as he drained their liquid savings. When that wasn't enough, he pulled up something else, his emergency home equity line of credit. Mom saw the numbers. Nicholas? No, that's for. What choice do we have? His voice was hollow. At 9:47, Dad held his phone screen toward Riley. Transfer initiated. Priority status. Riley checked her own phone, confirming. I see the pending authorization code. It will clear on Monday. If the funds bounce, the criminal filing proceeds. She turned and walked out, her team following. The security personnel remained, watching Dad with flat, professional eyes. I looked at Beckett, this man I thought I knew. This man who let my father mock his bricklaying money while wearing a watch worth more than their car. He met my eyes. Good bones, he said softly. And I understood. The Victorian house. The broken thing with potential. He saw me the same way. Worth investing in. Worth protecting. Around us, 200 witnesses pulled out their phones. Already texting. Already posting. By morning, everyone would know. The Cook family's perfect facade cracked open in front of everyone who mattered. Sutton sat in her chair, white dress wrinkled, face ruined, alone, and I felt nothing. Not anger. Not satisfaction. Just the quiet certainty that I was finally free. The lighthouse beam sweeps across the water in its ancient rhythm, steady as a heartbeat. 6 months have passed since the gala, and I stand on the rocky Maine coast watching 40 people I actually love gather near the keeper's cottage. The wind tugs at my simple cream dress, and I don't smooth it down. There are no photographers here, no performance required. Riley Donovan adjusts her officiant's stole and grins at me. Ready to make this legal? I nod, and Beckett takes my hand. His calluses catch against my palm, rough spots from 6 months of sanding floors and pulling down rotten drywall together. Emma, my childhood friend, hands me a bouquet of wildflowers she picked this morning from our overgrown acre. Martin Webb sits beside his husband in the second row, both of them beaming. No Nicholas. No Delilah. No Sutton. The ceremony lasts 12 minutes. Riley keeps it simple, honest. When Beckett kisses me, the waves crash against the rocks below, and I taste salt air and freedom. Later, we drive everyone back to the Victorian house. Our house, the one Beckett called broken but with good bones. I park in the gravel drive and stare at what we built. Fresh white paint gleams on the porch rails. New windows catch the afternoon sun. The sagging roofline stands straight now, proud. Inside, I pull on my paint-stained work gloves to show guests the crown molding I spent 3 weeks restoring, each delicate curve stripped and refinished by hand. The stone fireplace we uncovered from behind cheap paneling dominates the living room, its original brick exposed and repointed. Someone asks about the floors, and I drop to my knees to trace the grain of the oak we sanded ourselves, Beckett running the heavy machine, while I followed with stain. How much of the trust fund went into this? Emma asks quietly. $20,000, I tell her. The rest sits in an account labeled, ours. No parents, no trustees, no conditions. She squeezes my shoulder, understanding everything I don't say. I'm still the fixer, but now I fix foundations I choose, not facades built on lies. Monday morning arrives too soon. In Miami Beach, Sutton approaches a boutique hotel reception desk, dragging her Louis Vuitton luggage behind her. She's tanned, exhausted from posting healing journey content that gets fewer likes each week. The young clerk types her name, frowns, types again. I'm sorry, Miss Cook. Your ID is flagged in the Sterling Partner Alliance network as a financial liability. Our system won't allow check-in. Sutton's voice rises. That's impossible. Run it again. The clerk runs it again. Same result. I need to see your manager. Now. The manager arrives, reviews the screen, and nods to security. Ma'am, you'll need to leave the property. Sutton is escorted out while confused tourists watch. She tries 3 more hotels that day. The result is always the same. Back in Maine, I sit on our porch at sunset, coffee warming my hands. The ocean stretches dark and endless before me. My phone buzzes. A text from Delilah. Please. We need to talk. I'm sorry. I read it. Feel nothing. Set the phone down without responding. I'm not angry anymore. Anger requires caring what they think, what they feel, whether they understand. I've spent 29 years translating myself into a language they refuse to learn. I'm just free. Beckett steps onto the porch, draping a warm blanket across my shoulders. He settles beside me, our thighs touching, and we sit in the kind of silence that only happens when you've stripped drywall together at 2 in the morning. When you've made 1,000 small decisions about paint colors and cabinet hinges and whether to keep the original banister. The lighthouse beam sweeps past again. 1 rotation. 2. 3. I used to think being invisible to them meant I wasn't loved, I whisper. Now I realize being invisible to them means I'm finally safe. Beckett kisses my temple. His lips warm against my skin. The waves crash. The lighthouse turns. And for the first time in 29 years, Isla Cook isn't fixing anyone's problem but her own.